Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't quite. It is good to have both of you here. I am Mike. That's Tookie. That's Dave. We promoted, so I think that what, four of you. It's a strong contingent. We're just talking. We feel like we're strong in the syndication, which is appropriate for a Cheers podcast. We get y'all sometime or like around Thursday morning, which
Yeah,
is fine.
that's
We're very comfortable with that.
that's how I consumed Cheers as a youth.
Mhm. We get you when we get you. And as long as you watch it 3 or 4 times, the sponsors love you. It's all good. We are here this week talking about season 3, episode 21, The Executive's Executioner. Are we just jumping into this episode? Were your weeks okay? Is there anything you need to break down before we break this down?
What happened? I don't know. Everything's a blur.
Yeah.
What is time?
Just another week in my house.
What did we?
This
what
felt like.
this week?
I'll say this. This felt like the week. I don't know if you guys got this vibe too, where a whole bunch of the people who have been very careful the last 2 years said, I'm done. I am vaccinated, I am boosted, and I'm going to the movies. It feels like that was a big shift that happened over like literally the last 7 days, where a whole bunch of the people who were just like, I'm being careful. All right, just, no Applebee's, no restaurants, just finally said, all right, I've seen enough evidence. This isn't as serious as we were afraid it was going to be. And I'm getting away from these people that I live with.
Well,
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to do this. Yeah.
To be fair, Applebee's is a super spreader site in its own right.
You're getting something at Applebee's anyway.
That's a jackpot of a bouillabaisse of exposures.
Yeah. But yeah, I am of a mind, like I've been a trust the science guy the whole time and listen to science. And now like the science that I trust is basically saying it really is the flu now. It's what we see, it's essentially what we've lived with just being humans for a long time, as long as you're boosted. And let's get out there. And I'm still masking up basically just because it's winter in New England, so it keeps my face warmer. I'm probably never going to go through winter in New England without a mask again.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm out there. I'm like, all right, let's go do this. If weather allows, I'm at the studio on Saturday night. I'm doing it. I'm back out.
Hooray!
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Hooray!
That's where I'm at. Have you guys been venturing out and feeling better about it?
Since the booster, yes.
Yeah. Boosting makes a difference.
Yeah, it's starting to like make my presence felt in the world. Starting to make some plans. I mean, went and visited my dad last weekend,
Nice.
which was a trip we had planned kind of pre-Omicron, but went nonetheless. And yeah, starting to reintroduce myself to the human race, which is has its ups and downs. Oh, my dog came to visit. Hi,
Oh,
Dewey.
yay.
Yay. That's the perks of that's why you got to tune in live, folks, because you might get dogs.
You good boy. Yes, you will.
Yep. When we're not live, we edit Dewey out of this. We CGI him right the fuck out of Norm, the Cheers podcast.
Yeah, well, he's very unpleasant to look at.
Oh, sweet Dewey.
Oh, you're so ugly. Yes, you're so ugly.
He gets fired. And you know who does the firing? Norm Peterson.
Gasp.
The executive's executioner. So we're going to talk about this episode. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I watched it twice. I felt a little more positive about it the second time I watched it. I don't know if it was my mood or what. Second time I watched it, I was like, all right, it's there. It's fine. It just felt like a filler episode where they were just like, all right, let's just squeeze something in here. We're just, not going to further any character along. We're going to maybe get Norm unemployed again because people seem to like it when he didn't have a job, and that's basically it. We're going to have Cliff be... I'm very curious to feel like if you guys got the same Cliff vibe that I got this week. It was a Norm and Cliff episode, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But Dave, what was happening when the executive's executioner was brought upon the world?
Well, it aired on March 7th, 1985. And
In Like a Lion.
indeed. And you know what else came in like a lion just the day before on March 6th was the first professional fight of one Mike Tyson's career.
Ooh.
Wow.
March 6th in Albany, New York, defeated Hector Mercedes in a first round TKO, unleashing the athletic career and whole gestalt that was the Mike Tyson and continues to be the Mike Tyson experience.
I've probably the boxing match I've watched more than any other. And I'm actually surprised. There are multiple boxing matches I've watched multiple times, but the fight I've watched more than any other is definitely Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson.
I'm glad
I've watched it at least half a dozen times, and I'm still surprised.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because I'll talk more about this when we promo stuff later. But I released a record today, which is available.
Yay!
And it has
I was saving that to plug for the end, but yes, very exciting.
There's a little tie-in because there's a song on it about Buster Douglas. So if anybody's interested, you can visit my website and either download or listen to the song called Buster Douglas's Blues. Yeah, so I'm with you. What
watched website would that be, Dave?
That would be daverabinout.com.
Perfect. I can't believe you managed to snag that one.
Not a lot of competition.
How is it available?
You know, weirdly, there's another David Rabinow in New England, musician, and somehow but I've got squatters' rights on Dave. He's apparently strictly David. Okay. But yeah, he would periodically get emails intended for me, and he's very nice.
Nice. There's another Mike Dorval who used to live in Massachusetts and then Connecticut. And we actually became Facebook friends because he just kind of shot me a funny message. He's like, just so you know, all the searches for our names are you. So enjoy that. It was very funny. I was like, just so you know, the nice thing is no one's saying anything mean about you on the internet. And we became Facebook friends, and he actually came to a show that I did when I did the Funny Bone in Hartford, Connecticut, and then he moved down to North Carolina. But I was very relieved that the other Mike Dorval was very nice. And he was an athlete, so occasionally people will Google me and mistakenly think that I can move.
Oh.
That's always nice.
Are there any other Tookie Kavanaughs?
Not that I'm aware. I'm not the only Tookie.
I've never found another.
I'm not the only Tookie on the planet who spells it with a Y. There's a lot of IEs, but not a lot of Ys. Mm-hmm. But of the Kavanaugh ilk, I seem to be the sole one.
You're so lucky.
I don't know.
The thing about being the only one is you don't need to worry about any other Tookie's behavior.
I get, but you know what frustrates me is when people hosts of a show introduce me and they think I'm a mononym like Madonna or Rihanna. And I'm like, no, there's 3 more syllables.
But it's kind of fun to just be known by a first name.
I guess.
I mean, as someone who was one of 5 Mikes in his class, I feel like it must be nice to just be the Tookie.
But, I don't know.
I could be wrong. We're all coming from our own place.
Have you thought about going as the Tookie?
I have not, because Yiddish speakers out there might think of me as just the butt. So, I'm trying to think ahead.
Yeah, I think that's wise. Yeah, you don't want to alienate your Yiddish community.
Thank you. Yeah.
The other nice thing is, there's never going to be anybody with your name who does something terrible and you have to explain that you're not them forever.
I've had to, but you know how many people I've had to cuss out to not spell Kavanaugh with a U? It is not spelled with a U.
No. There is a famous Kavanaugh.
Yeah. There's also another famous Tookie, no disrespect, rest in peace. But I'm not affiliated. Might as well just put that out there.
Who's the other famous Tookie?
Huh?
Who's the other famous Tookie?
Oh, we'll talk about it off.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But no disrespect. Rest in peace to him. He absolutely did not deserve his sentence. because he turned his life around. You know, he is.
Oh, Tookie Williams. Oh, I was thinking Tookie. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and he pronounces it the long O way.
Yeah. That's
Mine's
why I
the
didn't get
short
it
O
at first.
way.
Because that's back to my Master P story that we've talked about on the show before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I am in no way affiliated with any sort of set.
Amen. All
And
right.
it's no
Moving on.
disrespect.
Yep. Tookie, what happened in the cold open this week?
Okay, I like this cold open because it was short,
Mm.
sweet, to the
Mhm.
point, punchy, well executed. And I'm like, yes, this feels like a Heidi Perlman joint because she gave us just the right nugget of Carla. So we have Carla, finishing up, closing someone's tab out and everything. He says, and she says, "Oh, it's been a pleasure serving you." And he leaves the tip, and she sees it and goes, "Oh, is this for me?" He says, "Yes." And she goes, "Wow!" Just presenting it to the whole bar. He left me a quarter, a whole quarter. You know, considering all the great service I gave him tonight, I was expecting a big tip, but nothing of this magnitude. And he's trying to interrupt, like, "Wait, no, hold on." And she goes, "Oh no, that does it. Thanks to him, I'm on Easy Street, and now I'm gonna retire." And the guy says, "Hey, look, all right, I'll give you some more. Do you have change for a 10?" And she says, "Yeah." And switches and takes his $10 bill, gives him the quarter, and says, "Now beat it," and boots him. Roll credits. And I love if you pay attention to any of the background extras, I love the woman's face when she laughs at what's happening. There's a woman behind her who sees everything going down.
She is plugged into that event, and it's fun to watch.
Enjoying it. And that is my joke of the week. I think my earliest joke of the week. Yeah, can you change a 10? Have you got change for a 10? Yeah, here. I felt like on a week that was not particularly solid joke heavy, it peaked in the cold open and then rolled gently downhill the rest of the way.
Yeah, there's a Nicholas Colasanto shaped hole in this episode in a big way.
But a weird Michael Richards cameo in the cold open.
Yep, I didn't get that until you showed it.
Yeah, I was like, "Is that Kramer?" And that was totally him. Reused footage.
There you go. Just saying, hey, can we grab a shot where you were hanging out there for a little while? But she is in the shot. Carla is doing this scene in that shot.
Yeah.
So I guess they just said, hey, we need a couple more people. Can you jump in here? And you won't only get your co-star check for the week that you did, but we'll use this later on and you'll get another check as an extra for that week.
Actor life.
Which at that time, Michael Richards is probably happy to get.
I would think so.
There you go. All right, let's dig into this puppy. The A story. Norm gets a new job as an executive executioner. He is in charge of firing the accountants at his company because it apparently relieves stress. The B story. Cliff has neighbors that he doesn't like. And the way that he describes them, was anyone else uncomfortable?
Boy, howdy, was I.
Okay, I wasn't imagining that, right?
I wrote down the quote. I believe he says, talk about he and his mother. They're just not our type of people.
That was my Boston moment of the week.
Yeah. Okay. I played it twice and I was like, am I just being sensitive here?
Listening to bebop music.
Yeah. Listening to bebop music. That was something.
I got real tense for a couple minutes.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe the writers didn't want to make it too blatant and say hip hop music, so bebop is close enough. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like hip hop wasn't a commonly used term.
Fair.
At that point.
Fair.
That at least it wasn't something I heard. I was always familiar with it as rap music at that time. It was really just starting to become something that like white America was hearing in about 85, 86.
But that was for like really plugged in white folks, like the Beastie Boys. Like they were, plugged into the culture.
Yeah, Beastie Boys didn't hit until I want to say 87. 85. If you were hearing rap in '85, it was most likely. I mean, if you were a black person, you were probably hearing it in multiple different places. If you were a white person, you basically heard Run DMC.
Mm.
I could be incorrect on that, but that was my memory and my experience was because I feel like might need to look this up. They did a remake of Walk This Way. Yeah.
Which I think that was 86. I think that's the next
With
year.
Aerosmith?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep. They did a video with them, and it was kind of a big deal where suddenly like a whole bunch of people I had heard Run DMC before.
Mm-hmm.
They were, I think, kind of the first crossover rap act that I remember hearing on mainstream radio.
Mm.
But yeah, I didn't hear the term hip hop until the '90s.
Yeah, and hip hop was a '90s kind of terminology. For that, I'd only ever heard it referred to as rap music, and not much, frankly.
Mm.
Yeah,
I've always heard it interchangeably. So that's sort of where I'm coming from in that, where I just know it as interchangeable terms.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And from the '90s, it always was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the '90s on. I think one of the like whitest moments I've ever had was when I asked somebody, "What's the difference between hip hop and rap?" And they just were like, "Oh, sorry." I was a middle-aged white dad when I was 20. That was me. So let's run through this B story really quickly so we don't have to spend too much more time on it. So Cliff is complaining about the neighbors. Basically, Carla says, what you want to do is you want to write a nasty letter. And the letter's really terrible and talks about, bark hello to your wife for me. It's wildly uncomfortable. And then apparently Cliff gets off the phone with his mother, and the neighbor has apologized for having a party and for not cleaning up his yard and because he's training for the light heavyweight boxing championship or kickboxing championship.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to get the mail back from the other mailman who recurs a couple of times. And that happens. And that's the whole B story. And it was weird and uncomfortable. And you guys can talk about it more if you want, but I really don't want to.
Well, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I just say I will give flowers to Ray Burke as Walt Twitchell, the other mailman. I really like that performance. This was maybe aside from the cold open, the only time I laughed out loud during this episode was at that the interchange with Sam and with Cliff. I really enjoyed it.
Fine usage of the 9-digit zip code was strong.
Oh crap! No, I had a point. Pardon. I totally had a point. Oh, that's what Cliff talking about, I could have taken him. He, training for the light heavyweight boxing. I could have taken him, but let me just take back that letter. That has a lot of remember that time Mark Wahlberg told the world what he would do if he were on one of the planes during.
Yeah.
Anytime Cliff does that, that's where my mind goes immediately.
Yeah.
Is that bad?
Nope. That was fair. It makes sense.
You think Cliff might be the Wahlberg?
Yes.
My 80s moment of the week also is kickboxing.
Really?
Before it had become MMA.
Ah.
I didn't feel strong 80s moments this week. So that was the one that struck me, though, was that it might be 80s and 90s. But yeah, when it became MMA in the 21st century, and back then it was kickboxing. And it was this very random sport and a weird movie that Jean-Claude Van Damme did that was basically blood sport, but not quite blood sport.
Gotcha.
Have you ever seen Kickboxer?
No.
I have not.
It's something. Oh, I can't say I didn't enjoy it. Very weird. Yeah, his brother is a kickboxing champion who basically gets paralyzed by a Thai kickboxing champion.
Oh, wow.
And then he has to go in and get trained by like a master martial artist, and he goes through this whole training montage, which is always fun. And yeah, it's really uncomfortable stuff in it, but a big Van Damme fight at the end, and it's pretty much what you're looking for from a Van Damme movie.
All right, I respect it.
It's one of the only pure Van Dammes.
Oh,
where
I don't.
it's
I don't
I'm
know.
training and doing martial arts and I'm winning a fight at the end.
I don't know, Mike. No retreat, no surrender. That's the purest.
That is not that. No, no, no. That is not pure because he loses. He's
But he
in it.
doesn't.
Oh
You
God,
know.
what an awful movie that was. God, that was terrible. That's fucking terrible. They shouted "No retreat, no surrender" 10 seconds before they retreated. That movie still makes me mad. Like there's so many good bad movies out there, and you managed to find an 80s movie with martial arts in it that was bad. That's hard. That's not easy to do.
What's the opposite of a
terrible.
cultural touchstone? Because that's what that movie is.
I don't know. It's a cultural sinkhole.
Oh God. Well, speaking
All
of
right.
not great films,
Yes.
we sat through all of the Eternals for some reason.
It was rough, wasn't it?
It was not a good time.
Only movie I've seen in the theater for 2 years. That's what I blew my ticket on.
Oh no.
You didn't see Spider-Man yet?
No, we haven't gone yet.
You got
Dude, what are you waiting for?
You gots to.
I think we'll probably make it this weekend.
Yeah. When you do, let us know because I have a great moment to tell you about when we saw Spider-Man.
Okay.
Oh God, like Eternals was one of those movies like right wingers were getting mad about it on Twitter because there's there is a gay couple in it. It's directed by a woman of color and it's diverse, and they're like, yeah, woke movie, yeah, you're trying to ruin it. And I'm like, screw you guys, I'm going out to support the Eternals. And then I'm watching it and I'm like, oh shit, this is terrible.
Well, I mean,
not for any of those reasons, but yeah.
No, but I mean now the way we got to own the conservatives is by buying more M&Ms.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Hannity, really sad that he can't get aroused by the green M&M anymore.
Oh no, well the brown M&M is really getting the brunt of the critiques because now I think I don't know if it's official that the brown M&M is now non-binary. But it's one of the things Tucker Carlson griped about at one point because they gave the brown M&M low block heels instead of regular high heels, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I had to stop taking. Yeah,
I love that I can be socially conscious by eating M&Ms. That's my excuse now. I'm very excited.
Yep.
All right. A story. Norm comes into the bar, as is usual. Yeah, Sam and Diane do very little this week. They're trying very hard to hide Diane's pregnancy this week.
Boy, she does a lot of bartending this week.
Whew, she is back there churning out the beverages with the biggest bows you've ever seen around anyone's neck. Yeah, she's back there. Norm is coming in. His boss walks in. He's immediately hiding. Oh my God, I left early. This is the time you come in every day. I leave early every day. And yeah, does his bit. Boss finds him in the bathroom, which, for the first time I'm kind of noticing, that's a good sized bathroom for an old Boston bar.
Mm.
Like I've spent
an inordinate amount of time in Boston bars, and they are tiny and uncomfortable. And that's a studio apartment.
Tiniest Boston bar bathroom I've ever had to endure. The Good Life. Ever been to the Good Life bar? It's kind of tucked away behind the Macy's in Downtown Crossing.
No, I've not been there.
Yeah.
I love Downtown Crossing, though.
It is. Oh, those bars. They're very much. Did you ever watch Matilda some years ago? No. The Chokey, that closet where the Trunchbull keeps the kids to be tortured. It's very the stalls are very much that narrow.
The bathroom at the Beacon Hill pub where they do some shows, quite tiny.
Never, I don't.
Quite tiny.
I remember the bathroom at Jacques, the old drag club, was small and shockingly not well kept.
Oh, they've improved. I did a show there 2 months ago, I want to say. it was the bathroom downstairs has room to turn around in.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, I haven't been there since probably like 99 or something.
Oh wow. Okay. No, I think they knocked down a wall or two since then.
Nice. Good thinking.
Good for you, Jacques. All right, so the boss follows him in there. Norm thinks he's getting fired. He actually gets a job firing the executives at this accounting company. And it's an accounting company. Here's the thing. So I get what was going on, and it was kind of an interesting thing for Norm. But so, yeah, they say you can get fired or, yeah, you get a 300% raise. And, yeah, Norm responds, you can't threaten me and you can't bribe me, but you put the two of them together and I'm your man, and takes the job. And then you find him trying to fire a young accountant and failing. He's taking him out everywhere all day. And then he fires him and he's sobbing and he's feeling so bad that the guy actually feels better about getting fired and tells him he's going to be okay and worries more about Norm. The spy from the company who is watching this happen loves that and says, yes, you're our man. And then Norm becomes known for that, first firing people and sobbing and giving them sympathy. And then he has a dream where he's pushing accountants through a door off of a cliff. And yeah, then it's him and screams. And it's kind of funny. I like his scream. Mm-hmm. And then another guy comes in ready to get fired. Norm feels nothing about it. And the guy is crushed because he doesn't get any sympathy. And Norm realizes he's losing his soul. And then he calls up the supervisor to quit. And he's so terrifying that as soon as the supervisor hears his voice, he hangs up. Same thing with the secretary. And then the last joke is him calling the boss who originally gave him the job in a scary voice saying it's Norm Peterson. And that was the episode. And my little bit of a nitpick here, it's an accounting firm. You're always working. Why are you firing so many people? And especially this young guy who was only there for 5 months. He's probably making less than anybody. How bad could he have been at his job that you fired him? It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Him and Joe Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, it's not lining up for me. I get that it was the MacGuffin for this episode, but it wasn't totally working. Am I wrong?
I mean, I guess one thing that made me that I liked was that 67% of the firings we saw were young white guys. I was like, all right, that's good.
Maybe,
yeah, especially when you see how many accountants of color there were at the toga party.
Right?
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, you're starting to wonder if Norm is the last white guy at this company.
He's the equivalent of Coach at his family reunion.
Oh my God.
Oh, but this is a different company because he got fired for
that's right.
putting the last boss in a hammerlock. Yes, a different company. Different company. A question. Is the George Clooney vehicle Up in the Air simply a remake of this episode, but handsome?
Oh. Ooh.
Did they just say, what if we remake this episode of Cheers, but attractive?
That's an interesting niche because, like, obviously when you think of Cheers, one of the first things you think of is attractive. So then, which, knocks out 75% of the episodes. And then you start delving into the Norm Cliff episodes. And yeah, you could start making like sexy versions of like the Norm and Cliff storylines and no one would ever know.
Honestly, you can make just about anything hot. Like a year and a half ago, there was like hentai Colonel Sanders from KFC. I don't know if you remember that dark time.
I do not.
KFC ran a whole ad campaign where Colonel Sanders would be your anime Valentine. And they put abs on him and everything. And then yeah. And then he was portrayed by Mario Lopez for like a Lifetime mini movie.
Oh yeah. That was fun. I remember that commercial.
Fun.
They got creative. Look, anything where you're getting a little bit creative in a funny way makes me feel good because the last thing I need is another dark, gritty take on something that used to be fun. I'm looking at you, Bel Air. Did we talk about the Fresh Prince reboot last week? We did, right?
I don't think so.
A little bit.
I think so.
I okay, we didn't. I'm so
I'm sad
annoyed.
about it.
Like we're all so depressed. Like, did you need to take something that was really joyful and make it serious?
I'm happy for the actors,
I'm
but
always happy when an actor gets a job, but
yeah,
yeah.
I want the actors to, get paid, but this is not the stress I need.
No. No. Like, I don't want to worry about vengeance coming for the Fresh Prince. I want wacky adventures.
Well,
And then you get the one very special episode a year. It's fine.
I mean,
That's what I want.
I will say it's not that Fresh Prince never broached important topics, because there was that
No.
one episode where Carlton was just sort of unaware. He was really oblivious
Mhm.
to
The policing episode.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, we it's important to have those kinds of episodes,
Mhm.
but there was still comedy in the midst of
Yeah.
it all.
I don't need a whole season of that. Can we be happy? Like, I don't want Cheers getting rebooted where we're all actually acknowledging the drinking problems.
Yeah, no. I mean,
No.
I'm like, what's the only gritty Will Smith movie? Is it the vampire one? Like,
I Am Legend? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
No, he did a few gritty ones. He did 7 Pounds. Ugh,
oh well,
that
I
was
mean,
gritty.
I think you're the only one that saw it.
He did The Pursuit of Happiness. That was gritty. I mean, there was a long stretch there where he was trying for an Oscar pretty hard.
Mm.
There was
Ali.
the Ali.
Mm.
That was good. That was good.
Oh,
That
but
was good.
He did a terrible one though. He did one a few years ago. Oh, what the hell was that movie? Edward Norton was in it.
Oh, well, that's where he messed up.
Yeah, it was just there were. I need to find it now because it was like it didn't make me no retreat, no surrender mad, but it made me mad. It was because it was so manipulative. It was so. Please give me Collateral Beauty. Awful.
Okay.
Awful.
I'm waiting to watch King Richard, where it's in our queue on HBO Max, where he plays Venus and Serena Williams' dad.
It's good.
I want to see that.
It's good. I like it.
Okay.
I like that one. Yep. He is not a man who can't do a serious movie very well. But he did at least 2 or 3 movies where he said, I really want an Oscar very badly. And it was very, very clear. Yeah. And The Pursuit of Happiness was watchable, though. That was, you were like, okay, I don't know that it's cool that you're making this kid homeless so that you can be a stockbroker, but okay. You're doing it well. I'll get on board with this.
Are we ever going to
Beauty and 7 Pounds? Miserable.
Are we ever going to forgive him for portraying the genie in Aladdin?
He needs to forgive himself first.
Okay.
I don't know how I couldn't get through that. I don't know how anyone thought that was going to be a good idea. I don't know how anyone talked him into trying to follow Robin Williams in that part. I don't know why they thought rebooting a movie that was problematic in the 90s when it came out was a good idea. I don't get it.
I've never been more grateful than my daughter expressed an interest in seeing it when it came out that summer, and my mother-in-law said, do you mind if I take Molly to the movies? Go get it. Enjoy. Have at it. Yeah. Here's $20. Get popcorn.
I'm a Disney fan, and I could not get through that movie. I couldn't watch it. It was awful. Awful.
They sanitized Jafar.
Better than Collateral Beauty. I don't even remember Jafar from that movie.
Because they sanitized him. They just absolutely wiped away everything that made his character great, including, you know, how Disney villains are queer coded, and I have that whole bit about it. And I'm sitting here like, this is just terrible, an affront to many communities.
Yes, rough choices. All right. Speaking of rough, some tough jokes in this episode.
Not great. Not a
No.
lot of ha-has in this one.
Like just screaming groaners at a time. Like, I don't know if we're going to see a joke worse than the Le Mans method at any point in the 11 seasons of Cheers. I scream like a Ferrari. Ew, what? That's a joke? Who wrote that for you?
The only reason I got that was because I saw Ford versus Ferrari.
Nice.
Well, Tookie, you're a dad. Congratulations.
Welcome aboard. Your cargo khaki pants are in the mail.
We went and saw it in theaters.
Oh, you're America's dad now.
Yeah. I'm America's sweet fart.
Woo!
I'm a dad. It's fine. It's
Oh man,
fine.
Good to have
I'm
you
gonna buy you. I'm gonna buy you a baseball book in June.
Oh,
You're coming to the Hall of Fame with us.
oh God. Well, no, I would actually love that.
It's awesome. We're going to do a remote episode from the Hall of Fame. We're doing it.
I am a dad though.
Yep. Baseball Hall of Fame is a delightful visit. Really wonderful place.
Yeah, I honestly cannot wait to go back.
Mm-hmm. And David Ortiz is in. Woo!
Finally.
David Ortiz. Well, it was his first year of eligibility.
Okay. I mean, but finally.
Yep. He deserved more than 78% of the vote, which is what he got, but still, he's in. I'm comfortable. He's the only guy voted in by the baseball writers this year. Which, get over yourselves. Just put Bonds and Clemens in the Hall. What are you waiting for? Stop it. Hypocrites.
I'm just glad that debate is now shelved for a time.
Thank God. Okay. Severance Boink. How do we feel?
Sam would have been a eunuch this episode had it not that upped his score from like a 3 to about a 56. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
I guess I guess Boink was probably the best version of that joke.
Yeah, it's bad. I find the word boink funny. And I don't feel proud of myself, but I did giggle both times.
I don't think Sam would ever refer to the act of lovemaking as boinking, though.
No.
It just kind of hit my ear hard for that reason as well. Like, this is a man who, like, is, like we'll find out later, is physically addicted to the act of sex. I don't think he's ever going to refer to it as a boink.
But, I couldn't think of a word that wouldn't sound absolutely awful. Like, this didn't sound good, but it sounded so ridiculous that you're like, all right, we can move forward. Like, everything else would have just been, like, everyone turned around and gone, Jesus, Sam. It would have just stopped the show.
We'll save it for the gritty reboot.
The gritty reboot. What's your name again?
Poor Sam.
I want to throw this out there. Gauche, underused word. I enjoy it. Gauche made it in there, and I enjoyed.
Did Diane say gauche? I don't remember.
I should have written down who said it. I don't think it was Diane.
Oh.
But somebody said it, and I liked it. And I was bad taking notes because I did not write down who said it.
How do we feel about Diane's distraction bow this week?
Why didn't they just tie a blimp around the poor woman's neck? It was, oof. She felt more like an arrow.
She looked like my skates when I would like rent the high top skates and roll on America. She looked like the top of my skates because it would have a big floppy bow.
I rewatched Fargo again, which amazing movie. I love Fargo so much. Marge Gunderson looks less pregnant than Diane. The whole movie. Diane is absolutely farther along in her pregnancy.
Oh.
Yeah, you think I know Heidi Perlman's writing and not directing, but it just seems like there's people behind the camera who are like not able to sort of offer some assistance in masking her in a more sort of subtle way.
Yeah, it was not flattering. And usually her wardrobe, Diane's wardrobe is a favorite of Trevor's, honestly. He's so
Really?
always, yeah, because during the Rebecca era,
Mhm.
he was just so put off by those, what he called wrestling belts.
Truth.
And I'm like,
True.
wow, okay. Let me call Anna Wintour. You can edit an edition of Vogue. But yeah,
All right, I've done my
Diane's wardrobe.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No,
I've done
I
my
was
joke
gonna
of the
say,
week. Yep.
Hmm?
Let's plow through some categories. I've done my joke of the week. Tookie, what is your joke of the week?
Not a lot of jokes, just vibes this week, but I laughed out loud at Norm crouched up on the toilet.
Yeah.
Fun sight gag.
Mm-hmm.
Fun sight gag. Dave, your joke of the week.
Oof. Geez.
You can do it.
Oh boy. It didn't get a laugh, but I really liked it. I saw it coming, but I still appreciated it that they did it and they honored it. What's his face? The Walt Twitchell, the letter carrier was being Walt Twitchell and being very officious. Carla came up to him and said, "Are all you guys like this?" And he said, "Like what?" And she said, "Never mind." And it didn't even get a pop from the studio audience, but I was like, yes, I'm glad we've established that in the canon of Cheers world, mail carriers are officious and annoying. Like I appreciated laying down that as like it's not just Cliff.
Mm.
And that's why Lewis got fired. He doesn't fit in because he's not
Mhm.
officious and annoying.
Yes. You're better than that, Lewis. You're better. Dave, what was your 80s moment of the week?
I'm gonna go with the fact that Norm is going to leave his job without consulting with his wife, whom he's trying to have a family with. He's made the decision based on a conversation with Ted Danson and Shelley Long, but is not going to check in with Vera. That seems like a very 80s thing to do. Oh, I decided to leave my job today. What's for dinner?
Unheard of.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Tookie, your 80s moments.
Okay. The concept of a company being full of physical spies, companies spying on employees is not uncommon in this day and age. It's just done differently where they track your movements remotely on the laptop when you work from home.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
Yeah. So I was like, whoo, physical spies at a company. Now but now it's all about the digital data, the digital footprint.
Mm-hmm. You almost had to respect the effort they put into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The reference to Le Mans, as the Americans say. Norm's reference to the job market in 1985 when he's firing the first dude. Oh, in this job market, like his blubbering and everything. I was like, wow, okay. This was like was this at the end of the bell curve of the Reagan era? Because it wasn't quite peak Reagan era, but it was like coming down from.
It was, the whole thing was like Morning in America, and it was, are you better off than you were 4 years ago in his reelection bid? So theoretically, I don't know that everything was amazing, but it was better than it had
been. Okay.
But there was also definitely a vibe of a tough job market and things changing. So it's kind of weird, which is, part of why like Reagan's propaganda machine was just so good, because he convinced everybody that he was responsible for things getting a lot better. But at the same time, like, Mr. Mom is a movie all about like everybody losing their job and no one being able to get a job in Detroit, and like all these things happening that were kind of going on and talked about all throughout the 80s, as I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's funny. I think it shouldn't have been too bad a job market to be an accountant in, but it was a trope that I think had just been carried on for sitcom time for a long time, that boy, things are tough out there. So yeah.
Yeah. So
that's a great answer, but yeah.
Yeah, that felt very much like You know, some 20 years later in 2000,
Yeah.
also tough. But at least there was a point in time between the onset of the 90s and before the stock market crash and the housing bubble crash, um, where people weren't complaining as much about the job market unless you were part of the whole .com bubble collapse.
Yeah.
Which was its own thing. So that Cliff talking about this is the 1980s. It's okay if you see a man cry. Of course, you'd never catch me doing it. That felt very of that time. What's the other mail carrier's name again?
Walter
Walt.
Twitchell.
Walt. His carrying a big leather mail satchel. A big leather mail bag. I was like, woo, I don't see those on the street so much anymore. And it was like a good quality leather one too. I'm like, this is a slab of cow. Bless the cow that gave him that bag, because that's a good sturdy mail bag. In the third scene 3, there was a man at the end of the bar with a big old Hall & Oates John Oates mustache. Very, very 80s. A whole push room on that guy.
I caught that guy. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was Mr. 80s.
Yeah. And then the Cliff's casual racism is still a very Boston moment, but you know, the playing the bebop music and all the car parts around the yard felt very like leaving car parts around the yard feels very 80s.
Yeah, Bebop is still like he's really mad at Charlie Parker.
Oh yeah.
Clearly, yeah, did not go to Kansas City, went to Florida, enjoyed it there.
Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
Surprisingly not that white. I caught so many extras this episode. It was great. Okay. Let's break it down. So in the opening, there was a black man and a black woman at the top the bar. You saw them right away looking at Carla with the service situation, the tip situation. Handsome couple, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, and like coordinated too. They had like matching beige situation. I was like, wow, they look good.
The costumer looking out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We've acknowledged.
Yes. There was a black man leaning on the jukebox, and then another black man in the hallway between the pool area. And then in the first scene, there was a black woman at the bar, a black man by the piano, a black woman in a booth by the door, like it tucked away. And then another black man by the phone. Scene 2, there was an Asian man talking to a woman next to Tecumseh, and he passed by Cliff later on in the episode. A black man and woman by the stairs, kind of tucked away. An Asian woman who passed by Norm. She kind of goes a little quickly, but she passed by Norm when he was on the other side, the left side of the bar, talking to Sam. There was a Latina woman behind Cliff, or someone I perceived as Latina. A black woman who was passing on the jukebox side of the bar. She was passing by, and then 2 black men by the square house sign towards the back of the bar. And then in the third scene, there was a black man passing by Sam at the bar, another black man who passed by Norm into the hallway, a black woman sitting by the jukebox next to another woman who I perceived as Latina. And then down the stairs, there was a black man in a very 80s salmon colored shirt who came to talk to them. Yeah.
This might be a record-breaking week.
It might be. This is almost as many, you know, because we had that photo with Coach tip us over that one week. But then there were 2 black male accountants and an Asian male accountant in Norm's dream sequence, and then another black woman in purple who was making a phone call. So all in all, 22 total people of color. Wow. I know, amazing.
And every accounting episode just sets new records.
Black people in STEM. It's real.
We're
out here.
Represent.
Does accounting count as STEM?
That's the M.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Clearly the M. Clearly the M.
I'll take it.
Sam Creepy Quotient. So we've already touched on this a little bit. It was really just that one moment, right? But it was quite a moment.
It ruined everything.
Yeah.
Ted Danson, his engagement seemed pretty low this episode. Like he was not putting out like the typical kind of Sam Malone energy. It was.
I feel like he just got the 3 Men and a Baby offer.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think they just both realized they didn't have much to do.
Yeah.
And that was the week. Yeah. Yeah, and they just had that exchange. He had one kind of funny line where she said, "Yeah, oh, he's dreaming. What do you think he's dreaming about?" And she said, "Well, if it's anything like you, I'm sure it would be me." And he said, "I'm sure he's not dreaming about you." And then Norm screamed. He said, "I stand corrected." That was kind of funny.
I also
Sam and Diane banter.
I laughed too when he misspelled ecstasy. That tickled me.
That was fun. Fun but obvious. I couldn't give it too many points. All right. Any parting thoughts?
I two little like things. One, I do want to touch on the dream sequence just because I watched it. I was like, holy shit, that's the dark side of the Force scene from Empire. Like even like the way the camera, the way the style of the filming changes. I was like, they are like almost stole that whole segment from Empire. I don't know. Did either of you get those vibes?
I mean, the filming, and the haziness and just the otherworldliness of it all felt very 80s. But I didn't want to include it as an 80s moment because I'm like, we might see. I think there's more of that exists after post Cheers with those hazy.
I don't know that it. Yeah, I don't know that it hit me as especially Star Warsy.
The fog.
The fog, and then like seeing himself, underneath the mask. I was like, this is all like.
That's true. You're not wrong. It didn't hit me that way, but I see what you're talking about. Going into the cave and yeah. Your weapons, you will not need them. I got you. Yeah. Well, I'm not watching it a third time to see if you're right. So let's just say that you're right.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm perfectly willing to say you get the win on this one.
And the other thing, I don't know, this occurred to me as I was walking the dog after watching it today. I realized one of the things that's interesting about Norm as a supporting character is like so often we expect supporting characters to be sort of like huge stylistically in the way that like Coach is pretty big. He's very broad. Woody's very broad. Carl is pretty broad. Cliff is certainly super broad. And George Wendt plays his scenes like he's in a Mammoth play. And he's like physically he's got this kind of like he kind of uses his body really well to sort of like play a little bit of a caricature, but like the way he uses dialogue is really realistic. And I was like, I don't really know what to say about that other than I guess that's kind of why he's sort of compelling and kind of like hangs on. And there's just a weird, interesting tension between what you sort of expect from a Norm character and what George Wendt continually does.
Yeah, George Wendt, good actor.
Yeah,
watch Fletch. Watch him play Sam and Fletch. He's a good actor.
He's really interesting.
Yeah, I think
Fletch is probably a few months away from coming out at this point. 85, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm sorry, Tucky, go ahead.
Well, no, I think he got pigeonholed essentially into the Norm role, and that's what people remember him best for. But
sure,
I think because Norm is such a simple man that people don't realize what kind of acting goes into it, the level of skill that goes into portraying a man so simple.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And he's doing a lot of work. He's doing it well.
And it's fun. Like, I feel like he and Ted Danson stylistically are very similar, and yet they're like the opposite characters in the show. One so hedonistic and another one so like locked down to Vera and kind of almost ashamed of the act of lovemaking. I don't know. It's just these are the things that occurred to me as I'm walking the dog, having watched 97 episodes of Cheers or whatever we've seen at this point.
All right, put it in the books. What have we got to plug this week? Dave's got something big that we've touched on. So real quick, Tookie, what do you got to plug this week?
What? I'm guest hosting tomorrow night, Wednesday the 26th at night shift brewer. I can never say that word in English. I swear to God.
Brewery.
Thank you. In
I'm
Everett.
here for you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Excellent. Everybody get out to Everett. That'll be a fun evening.
Yeah. And I'll be in Weymouth on Friday. So that's fun.
So get out to Everett on Thursday. I'm sorry, Weymouth, I'm sure is going to be a blast. What are you doing in Weymouth? Is that a public show?
It's at Barrel House Z in Weymouth on Friday.
What is Barrel House Z?
Oh, it's another.
Is that another brewery?
Yes. Thank you.
Nice.
I like your style, Kavanaugh.
All right. This is Milwaukee week for Tookie Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
It's a great weekend to do some tastings and hear some jokes.
Slanging jokes and huge bats.
I'm going to be at the Comedy Studio at Vera's in Union Square, Somerville this Saturday. 2 shows, 8 and 10. So come on out and hear some of the same old shit. Now, Dave, talk to us about your album. What is this album called? What is on it? Because this is not a stand-up album. This is music, but it's funny, correct?
Like 1 or 2 of the songs are sort of have moments, I suppose.
Okay.
It's mostly.
I heard Buster Douglas Blues, and I kind of thought it was veering more towards the amusing, but I do not know. I don't want to pigeonhole you.
No, it's a little bit all over the map. The album's called "We Had a Good Run." It's something I worked on over the pandemic with my good friend Keith Munslow, who produced it. I wrote 14 songs and got to work with a handful of really incredible New England musicians. And we sort of put these songs together, and it's sort of like, I guess, vaguely sort of folky country sort of. The overall vibe I would say is pessimistically hopeful, maybe. I don't know.
Dancing on the Edge of the Void.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, and it's available for download, or you can stream it. You can listen to it for free right now on my website, daverabinow.com. And if you like it, you can purchase it. You can either pre-order a CD through the website, or you can download it from Bandcamp, and the links are all there.
Beautiful. CD. Classic.
If you here's the deal: if you don't buy them, I will have like 100 CDs in my house. So,
oh, I'm excited for my birthday.
I'm offering a deal too. Like if you live in southeastern Massachusetts or anywhere in Rhode Island, I will deliver it for you for free.
Wow.
Or if I like you, I'll drive even further.
How can you beat that? How can you beat a deal like that? Go to daverabinow.com. Get this album. Make yourself happy. Why wouldn't you do that? Of course you will, and you shall, and we thank you. All right. We're putting this one in the books. We'll be coming back next week, season 3, episode 22.
The final
Deuce.
Nicholas Colasanto full episode.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Is he in the whole episode? I thought he was just in the cold open. Am I believe correct in that?
This was when they filmed out of order, so he's in the entire episode.
Oh, good. Oh, yay.
Yay, but it hurts.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's also kind of a moment of grace, because I really thought he just had a cold open coming up. So to find out there's another full coach episode makes me happy.
He does appear in some. Is this? It's just the cold open, right? And that's it.
No, this one he's in the they filmed. This is when they filmed out of order, so he's in the entire episode. Then he shows up in, I think, one more cold open in the finale.
Hi, Kelly.
We now have solid evidence that Tookie does not listen to me when I am talking.
What? What do you mean?
That was exactly what Dave and I talked about. And then you said, so he's just the cold open. Like, we literally spent 45 seconds where I was like, oh, I thought he only had a cold open appearance coming up. And Dave was like, no, he's in this full episode. And I said, oh, I'm so happy we've got a coach episode where he's in the whole episode. That's amazing. And then you said, so he's just in the cold open, right?
I don't know. It just took me a while to process. We are totally live, Kelly. It just took me a moment. No, it just took me a moment to process. That's all.
Tookie is just She's checking out Twitter.
No.
She's updating her Instagram.
No, it just took me a moment to process, I promise. Because I don't know. I'm so attached to Coach. So just the idea that, we won't see his name in the opening credits anymore. I'm having a hard time.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's tough on all of us.
Yeah.
Feel what you need to feel.
Grief is a weird thing, man.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we will be back next week with Coach just in the cold open. I am Mike. That's Tookie. That's Dave. We'll miss you. Stay safe. Bye, everybody.